And I thought, geez, that sounds like Megan. Oh, but Megan would sound that so nice. That would be a good song for, the show I'm building, whatever that is. And then I had just saw that morning a post about this festival looking for people. And I texted Megan on Instagram because we hadn't really seen each other in 2 years, and that's the only place where I knew to get a hold of her. I said, "Hey, you want to do a show?" And she's like, "Yeah, sure, let's do it, Auntie." Okay, so that was January 24th. So it took a few of the stories that are written in the book, and then I wrote some other originals. Megan had already. I want you to talk about that song, Megan, because that's such a beautiful story. But she had already. It's almost like her self-written songs. It just everything just matched up. And then we learned a little bit late that we were accepted to the festival, and she was up in the Yukon. So we've actually had 3 in-person rehearsals. Everything else has been on Zoom. That's the first time we were on stage together. So it's pretty, except for the one rehearsal without the set, and then the rehearsal with the set. That's it. Everything else has been living room and Zoom. Yeah. So I'm really proud of you, Megan.
Likewise.
That's so great. I mean, so yeah. Can you imagine not doing rehearsals together to do a stage show? That's incredible to me. I mean, thank you for bringing that. Like, that's, damn, I didn't know better. Like, I would have thought you'd been rehearsing that for months on a stage together, not, through a screen.
Yeah, well, she had a track. I gave her a track with all my voice, and I knew the songs, and I tried to sing them horribly, just so that I could mark them. And my wall and my dog and my husband were they got to receive it all.
Going back to you said that it just kind of matched up. Did you go through like the book like page by page and see how that felt with songs, or what was your process involved with that?
Okay, that's a great question. I had I've developed a signature story, which was the first piece that you heard, and and that's kind of what enveloped a whole period of time, and then I took some of the reader's favorite stories out of the book. And then it was just process of elimination of what worked well and what fit well with the show. But when we showed up for the first rehearsal, I had written that first signature story with the last sentence being, "Are you proud?" And when I showed up with Megan and I read that story with her, and what happened, Megan?
Well, basically, I was just like, wow, I have a song that matches that last line perfectly. And it was the first song that I ever wrote, which was the Papa's song. It was a song I had just kind of started making music around the time that I guess it wasn't around the time, it was later, but the emotion was still there. So the first song that I ever wrote on the guitar was that first song in the show about, my papa passing away. And it just so happened that Auntie's story, her signature story, ended by saying, "I'm not done making you proud, Dad." And those are the highlighting lyrics in the first song I wrote. I never thought I would get the chance or feel the need to perform that song. So it almost kind of just really felt meant to be. Synchronicities were all over the place with the themes in my songs and Auntie's stories.
Like, that is wonderful. Did you feel like a special connection to it because it's your aunt? Like, did you feel like that there was like you had a different, unique perspective that other people maybe couldn't bring to this project?
Oh, for sure. I think that kind of like, over time it was maybe always like meant to be that we do some sort of thing together. Like, even my auntie was the first one who encouraged me to sing and told me I had a good singing voice after my grandma once told me that I didn't. So I actually didn't sing for a long time until auntie told me otherwise. I was like, what the heck? I thought I had a bad singing voice.
Mom is awesome. I wanted to make sure that I highlighted that my mother is a beautiful, strong warrior. But she had a way of telling us that we had the able frame, we have the able voice.
Yeah,
and it wasn't it wasn't necessarily a compliment, but you know.
That's ABEL, not ABLE, for everyone that's wondering.
Yeah. Yes.
That's great. So how did you use that knowledge of your aunt in terms of the songwriting process? And because did you have some secret stories like, oh, I'm gonna use that one in a song?
Actually, most of the songs in there was only one song that I made. Okay, I guess two kind of that I made specifically for the show. But that was the cool thing. How we were saying it just matched up, and all the synchronicities. Like she would tell a story, I'm like, oh my god, I have a song that's basically about that exact same theme. So a lot of it, and so most of the songs in there were past written songs. There wasn't a lot that was written for this show. It was just the themes that we talk and write about matched up, and maybe that's because we're aunt and niece and that connection.
Full disclosure, the first time I ever heard about Megan was from Karen. Karen and I did a play together a number of years ago when she was around, you must have been 14 or 15, they were talking about, and oh, I have this niece, and she's playing guitar. And it was wonderful. It's great to watch you grow as an artist as well. I just want to say that's such a cool part for me as well,
Cool.
I love that you had all of those songs in the bag already, because that must have made the writing process so much easier in terms of trying to stage it and that sort of thing, right? You guys obviously have had a really close relationship for a long time. How has it changed since you've worked on the show?
Oh, I feel like the luckiest auntie in the world. Sometimes I've felt distant from my family, and I remember I had an aunt, and she was a lovely person, and I loved her. And but she was very distant, and I never wanted to be that aunt that was just around on holidays. And I felt like that was beginning to happen, and so it makes me quite emotional. And I feel like we've stopped that just by getting involved in what we both love together.
Yeah. Connecting through art is pretty cool. And with COVID and stuff, we hadn't even seen each other at all in a couple of years. So it really, yeah.
Okay, so hands up if you have an auntie that's helped change your life. Right? Right? Yeah. Our aunties are so important, and this is an incredible relationship to witness taking place on stage too. It's oh great, you're just going to show that off for everybody, eh? But it's such a wonderful thing to model, and thank you for doing that. Do we have any questions from the audience right now? Wow. Okay.
I have a question. So
from the guy in the back front.
Yeah. So from what I understand, one of the things that this show is doing is it's actually bringing together so many parts of your family, where people are spread over the country, and now they're all coming together through your working together and sharing of your personal family journey. So maybe you could just talk about what that means for your family.
Did everybody hear that? Wonderful. Could you answer the question?
Oh yeah, well, it kind of comes down to what I said about what just happened. Megan's always been a great connector, and my mom was a great connector. And Mom lives all the way on the East Coast, and she is trying to fight to get on an airplane to see the show. And I'm like, Mom, wait, we'll come to you. Some point we'll come to you.
There's only two of us will make it there, Mom.
Yeah, and it's all good. And so we ended up doing a Zoom rehearsal. That was just, for family. And
that's a trademark thing, right? You've trademarked that?
I think I should. And we had it for a lot of the family on the East Coast, and then we still have it recorded. So that was really great because I hadn't performed in front of an audience yet. Megan does it all the time, great. And so for me, I was like, I need this. And
When's the last time you've been on stage? You were on stage
with you.
Oh God, so that's like.
Except for the times where I was in training with a coach, and I could not get out of line without bursting into laughter.
I was gonna say, because I mean, I know that you have been coaching people, and here, do you want me to hold on to that? Are you done holding on to the book?
Yeah.
No, I don't want your drink. You can have your drink. Wait, is it empty? Oh, you're good.
No,
okay, you're good.
It's all good. It's all good.
Okay. I know you've done a bunch of coaching and all that. So, do you find it different or similar? Like, what's the differences and similarities between being on stage and coaching that you find?
On stage, I get to let the audience decide. The audience gets to co-create, and through the stories, the goal is to be able to connect with emotion, and get what you need, and feel from the story. I feel like coaching is almost like you have to pull pianos up hills sometimes, you know.
Pianos up hills. I have never heard that statement before, and I think I'm gonna use that. That's amazing.
And so I love more to just like get people fired up to be their own coach, to actually be able to understand that we are resilient, we can keep building ourselves over and over again. Doesn't matter how many times we're knocked down, how crappy we feel about ourselves or our life, there is always a way out when we choose it. And so I hope that, you know, whatever just happened there inspires somebody. If it just inspires one person to feel that way, then I feel like the work is done. And yeah, and I'm like the luckiest person in the world right now. I feel so great. I'm so proud of my niece. Like, my dad, I know it's something that I was afraid to share, but now I'm okay to share. There's a spot in there when I talk about how I'm sorry I didn't call you one last time. That was 15 years ago today. And I had the chance to talk to my dad one more time, but I was too busy packing for that camping trip. And so I missed it. And I got the news 2 days later that I had really missed that opportunity. And you don't get it back. So it's a very special moment for me right now, and I'm sure for Megan as well, that we're here performing on the 15th. My dad left this earth on the 17th of July, 15 years ago. And we get to celebrate his life this way.
Nice.
So I wasn't brave enough to share that before, but now I feel like I can, because I thought if I did, I would create anticipation and not be able to deliver. So.
Do you feel like you're delivering now?
Yes.
Yeah. I think we all think so.
Yeah.
Megan, about that as well? Like, what is your connection like on stage? 'Cause, I mean, you do the music thing a lot, right?
Yeah.
And this is like, I mean, we're wrapping up some family stuff. We've got all this love that you have between the two of you. We have all these other little connections. We're talking about bodies, obviously. This is literally the theme of the show. We haven't even gotten there.
Yeah.
How is this different from going out on stage and playing a gig or to doing something like this with your aunt? Like, tell me some of the differences in like the way that you would approach that differently.
It's almost different on like every level. I feel like it felt completely different from what I'm used to. And I've never done a show in this style. Like anytime I've ever performed in the past, it's just going up, singing my songs, leaving the stage. But like doing something like this, you know, it's more intimate, like being on the stage with my auntie, just like listening to the stories. And, you know, I was definitely more nervous too. It's more emotional as well, I would say, especially the beginning stories when we talk about my papa and stuff like that. So yeah, I don't know. It's just night and day, I guess.
Do you ever just catch yourself just like listening? You're like, oh crap, I'm supposed to do something now.
Yeah. Not, you know what? I was on it. I'm like, okay, you know what? I need to nail this. Like, I got to move my capo around if I'm not ready to start picking when I hear my cue line. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Hopefully, I was thinking like, I hope I don't get too relaxed tomorrow. Like, yeah, it went pretty smooth last night, and then miss a cue tomorrow. So I have to be just as on it. Yeah, I was definitely nervous about playing the wrong song at the wrong time and stuff like that at times, but overall, yeah, completely different experience.
What would you do different in your approach coming to something like this? Like, what was something that helped you do this over going to a gig? Which, I mean, like showing up with songs you know, with whatever PA happens to be out there on the day, because let's face it, that's how doing gigs is sometimes.
Yeah.
But, you know, you plug in, you're just there, it's you and your guitar and some songs, probably a looper for you as well, right?
Yeah, sometimes.
But, you know what to expect. Does it do something different to be on a stage like this where it's just you and your guitar and it's just you and your aunt? How do you get ready for something like that differently?
Oh, well, Auntie and I have a whole routine.
Can we hear about it?
Yeah,
Like, are you
I
willing
feel
to
like
share?
Auntie should share this part. I learned it from her, and it's something I've never done before. So,
Well, it was okay. So
Secrets are coming out.
okay, so I've learned from my mentors. I've been working with a group called the Be Weightless Experience. He was an NFL player. He became a Broadway star. Had his play on 19 years on Broadway, and he has this warm up that he's taught us. And one of the things that I've also learned from him is he says, you know, a pro, when they show up early and they're prepared at the theater, I can never get here before her, and I'm showing up early. And so I'm like, she's a star already. She's showing up early. And I just think that that's funny because a lot of times we hear that story from Bo when he was showing up in the locker room, and he's like, what, you're here first. And
Sorry,
then,
you were in the locker room with Bo? Am I following this
no,
correctly?
no. Anyways, whatever. Okay, I'm going to move on to the warm up. So
Sorry, that was a secret. Sorry, was that not supposed to be shared? That's okay.
I've only been there.
Stop the camera, please.
In when he brings his show onto Broadway,
Yeah.
I've seen his show, and he's in the locker room the whole way. So
Yeah.
I guess I am in the, but storytelling, professional storytelling, and
Yeah.
I did it for business to learn how to be a better keynote speaker, right? And I don't know, like this whole thing emerged, and it's fantastic. But I was taught a warm up from him about how to prepare yourself for the theater, get your foot on a rock, ground yourself, make friends with the seats in the theater while it's still empty. And then there's some vocal warm-ups, but Megan's the expert on the vocal warm-ups. So I actually have been asking her to lead the vocal warm-ups. So she doesn't know she's part of our sneaky routine until this moment, till you asked, so we've kind of formulated our own out of some of the things I've learned and some of the things that she's learned from school and experience. And from teaching. She's a teacher. She's actually running camps in the morning and racing out here.
Yeah, earlier today, in fact. Yes.
Yeah, and to do a show. So she's already worked all morning this morning with 7-year-olds, teaching them music.
Was it ukuleles today?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. A little of everything.
Yes.